from a given piece of wood. Then you have to draw the drawing. You will be given a drawing. So for carpentry job or welding job or machining job, you will have a drawing and you have to have a job of that particular shape, that particular dimension. So this drawing will be made by pencil. Everybody will make his or her own drawing, giving all the dimensions because the dimensions are important. Then you have to write in your report. So normally what can be done, when you write your journal, the drawing is on the left side on a plain paper that you write, and on the right side you write the text matter. That procedure can be followed. Or you can have a plain A4 paper, write aim, then below that you draw the drawing of the work job that you are going to do, and then write the further process. Tools required. For every workshop or every job that you are having, you will need different tools. These tools may be cutting tools. So you may need a saw in carpentry, you may need a saw in fitting, but those saws are different. So what are the tools required that you will have to mention? Now here, we don't expect you to draw the shape of the tool and all that, because that is a part of theory. You can look at some book on manufacturing processes and you will get the workshop technology. You will get description of these tools and these other devices. So tools required, normally you will have cutting tools, you will have marking tools, because you have to mark dimensions on the part before you start cutting. You have to mark certain dimensions on the part because your raw material will be a bigger size of workpiece, and from that you have to cut the required geometry. So marking tools are required, and then after cutting you have to measure. So measuring tool. So as I said, cutting tool may be a saw, or you may be also using some for marking. You may be using a center punch. You may be using a scriber. For measuring, you may be using a scale or a caliper. So that kind of tools you have to mention. The materials used. Material use, obviously, raw material, what is there is important. For workpiece, what raw material you are using. So, for example, carpentry, it will be a teak wood piece. You can write the dimension of the raw material also. For tools, for example, you are using a saw. Sorry. Saw, that blade may be of carbon steel. It may be a high-speed steel. You are using a center punch. It may be a tool steel. So like that, you have to write the materials of the workpiece and tools mostly. Then you have to write the sequence of operation. By looking at the videos, by following the process there, from the raw material shape, how you have obtained the final geometry and final dimensions. That sequence you have to write. So you are done first, normally, first you do some carpentry. If you are doing, you have to make the piece square, that is called as true and square. You have to mark dimension, then you do cutting, and then other operations if they are there. So like that, one by one operation you have to write. Again, these are steps. So maybe 5 steps, 10 steps are there that you have to write. And additional point that you can write is precaution. What precautions you have to take so that you do not have some injury or some accident doesn't happen, or your marking is correct, or your measuring is correct, or your handling will not cause problems. So if such things are there, for example, if you are doing welding, so then you have to use a welding screen. So that is a care that you have to take. If you are using a saw, you have to see that the saw does not damage your finger or hurt your finger or other body parts. So like that. So if you are handling heavy tools, heavy material, so how to lift it. So all those problems are there. So observe it in the video and write certain precautions. Now One or two precautions may be enough. So like that, you have to write a report. Unnecessary things are not required. So this report may be hardly 2 page, because drawing will take maybe half page and other matter will take maybe slightly more than half page. So one or 2 pages are sufficient for a report. And like that, you will have 5 different reports, 5 different pages, or five, or maybe maximum 10 pages. So this report will be again submitted through Google Form. Now, when you are working workshop, there are certain precautions, certain safety precautions. And again, you can refer any workshop technology book, or you can refer any internet source. Basically, the precaution that you take or follow, as I said, welding, you have to use welding screen. Then unless you know the machine, if you, now you are not coming to the shop floor, so you are not operating any machine. But when you go to shop floor, unless you know perfectly how to operate a machine, how to stop it, how to start it, don't